Welcome to Forbes CEO Talks. Joining me today is Chris Blank, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Pharmacity, the country's largest pharmacy chain, trusted by millions, and is a household brand. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun. Thanks for having me. It's a great honor. Pleasure to be here.
It's been a while. I haven't seen you.
Yeah.
So a lot has changed over the past years. The last time we talked, COVID is now somewhat being under manageable condition in Vietnam. But Pharmacity is no doubt, everybody knows Pharmacity, right? It's a bit more nostalgic for me to talk about it now. I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, following my mom to the retail, like a neighborhood pharmacy store, a drugstore, and talking to the pharmacists and getting advice on just the common flu and things like that. But today, the presence of Pharmacity is fantastic. This is a transformation of this whole industry and also a great sign of economic prosperity for Vietnam. What's inspired you to get started with Pharmacity?
When I was 27 years old, roughly 11, 12 years ago, I walked into one of those traditional format retail pharmacies at the corner of my road, and I purchased some medicine for a cold, and the outcome wasn't good. I ended up in a very terrible situation, which I don't like to talk about. But it was a wake-up call for me that something had to be done.
Right.
When I look around, there isn't any large pharmacy chains in Vietnam. There isn't anywhere that I really trusted completely to buy medicine from in a retail format. Maybe I can go to a hospital or I can go to a clinic, but for the sniffles or your common cold, it's not the best use of a doctor's time, right, or of the healthcare systems. We should save those places for people with more serious illnesses. That's where the idea came from.
Right.
I saw the opportunity, I saw what had happened to me, I was a little bit frustrated, and I wanted to do something about it instead of just sitting around being frustrated.
Right. It's great. I think it's like any business and entrepreneur, when they are keeping their eyes in different industries and excited about something that they can make change through the world. It's as small as something like you see, but it's actually the journey to arrive to something as significant as Pharmacity is today. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of discipline, a lot of commitment. As you run this business for more than 10 years now, what's the pivot point? Where do you see the vision, the future of this company, of this whole industry?
I have recently completed one of our milestones, which was achieving 1,000 stores nationwide. Moving from 0 to 100 stores was quite challenging. Moving from 100 to 1,000 stores also had a different set of challenges. It's
an understatement.
Our next milestone that we've set is 5,000 stores by the end of 2025. Post that, let's talk 5 years later, I could see Pharmacity easily with more than 10,000 stores nationwide. Our purpose at Pharmacity is to protect the health and well-being of all families in Vietnam. With that purpose, I find that this is my North Star, and whatever challenges that I come up against, I will be able to overcome them by using the purpose to guide us. Now, it might be an understatement, it might make it sound overly simple, but at the end of the day, that's the North Star. With such meaningful purpose, the answer to challenges seem to present themselves to you when you need them.
That's interesting. So for Pharmacity, could you share your journey and the challenges and the opportunities you see when growing from 0 to 100 store, the first 100 store?
This was a very difficult time for us. It's an exciting time, But it was full of the most challenges, because when I started this business, there was no modern trade industry for retail pharmacies. So when we went to suppliers, when we would ask for things like credit terms, or when we would ask for special promotions, didn't know how to react. At that time, 11, 12 years ago, if you could believe it, even the multinational suppliers weren't set up for modern trade retail pharmacy business in Vietnam. They didn't have key account managers for modern trade retail pharmacy chains. They were selling primarily into wet markets, wholesale markets, or in a very, very small number of cases, directly to 57,000 traditional pharmacies. So in order to get past that point, we had to be the catalyst for transformation of the market. We were the first mover, so we had to develop the playing field. How can you do that with 1 stores, with 2 stores, with 3 stores? It required 100 stores plus to really begin to push for that change and to create the confidence in our suppliers that this was going to be a real thing. It was the next thing for a retail pharmacy in Vietnam. But opening 100 stores plus costs a lot of money. So we had to go out and fundraise. Luckily, I have my previous life with the 10 years of finance that I did before this company, because I knew what investors were looking for. I knew what they wanted. I knew how to frame this opportunity for them. I believed that I could execute it. I trusted myself. And we did that. We built the market. That's what the challenge was. The challenge was building the market and everything around that.
In your industry, in pharmacy industry, growing at such an exponential growth brings different sets of problems. Real estate, human resources, IT, logistics. Could you share more on that? What are the core problems you foresee?
Sure. First and foremost, I'd like to say that we're in the hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, moving into the billions
Right.
in the near future. So you're right. With the revenues like that, it's very important to ensure that all of our bases are covered. I'm gonna share the story with you. Okay. I was at a children's birthday party one time, and there was this like a wooden trough, and inside the trough there were holes, and inside the holes there was a stick. There was like 6 or 7 sticks, and on top of each stick there was a plate. There was a clown who would run from stick to stick, trying to twirl all of these sticks to balance these plates. And when one plate was about to fall, he would run and he would twirl that one. When the other plate was about to fall, he'd run and twirl that one. I remember taking a picture of this event, and I sent it to my leadership team. And on one of the sticks, I wrote IT. One of them I wrote retail operations. One of them I wrote supply chain. One of them HR. One of them finance, so on and so forth. Each of my division was one of these sticks, and on the clown I wrote the CEO myself. I make this joke and this comment because it's a balancing act, and it's very important to continue to look at the overall structure, and you can't move every stick at once.
Right.
Sometimes when one of the divisions is struggling, then that's where we can put our focus, or we can look at the leadership, we can look at what tools they need, we can look at what resources they need to improve that. And then when we spend the time there, maybe it's quite possible that another stick or another plate becomes out of balance, and you got to quickly identify which of those divisions are the ones that we need to focus on. And I think that's what's important as a leader, as an operator, as an entrepreneur of the business is remembering that life itself is a great balancing act, and so is operating a business.
It's very well said. Do you consider yourself as a leader in the place where you nurture a lot, instead of not just a balancing act, but actually helping them to be stable?
Absolutely. This is one of the most important jobs that we do, or that a leader does every day. First and foremost, I see my responsibilities as creating the vision of our company, driving our vision throughout the organization, ensuring that the leadership is aligned, ensuring that all the way down to the front line, that our team members understand their sense of purpose in the organization. Now, just to be very clear, I also want to mention that I am the type of leader of an organization that will hire someone and hand over the keys of that division or of that operation to them, allow them to do what we've employed them to do, hired them to do, what they joined for. They're experts. I ensure that the person I am hiring to be the expert knows more about that division than myself. But at the end, I do have to be the man looking over each of those plates and ensuring that they're not unbalanced. And if I do find those issues, then I will try and point them out and provide support, assistance where I can.
I assume that has been a very successful approach. I mean, it's great that you empower people, come in and hand them the key to empower them to do what they do.
It does not come without its own set of challenges.
Right.
Sometimes you have to be willing to allow people to make mistakes, and sometimes very big ones. When people make mistakes like that, if they can't clean it up themselves, then we are the ones that end up having to clean it up sometimes. But for the most part, I think that when you hire good talent and strong people, if they're aligned with the purpose, they're aligned with the vision, and they've made a mistake, they understand where the mistake is made, they learn from that, hopefully they don't repeat it again, and hopefully they are able to work through it on their own.
I do want to talk a bit about, from that angle, let's just say, from our competitors in the market for a bit. What's the potential in the market? Educate me a little bit more about it. That's one. And the other thing is, there are other players also worth keeping an eye on. FPT bought Long Châu not too long ago. And then the founders of Thách also get into this game with Hành. Not quite as big, as significant as Pharmacity. Could you share the strengths that Pharmacity brings to this space?
First and foremost, never underestimate your competitor. That being said, Pharmacity has a significant first mover advantage. We've got over 1,100 stores today, and our nearest competitor only has half that store count. If you look at Pharmacity today, and you look at the range of categories that we carry, Pharmacity is the only pharmacy chain at the moment that really has excelled well on the model of providing an in-house shopping experience, a front-of-house shopping experience. So some of the competitors that you're talking about are still a bit old-fashioned in the sense it's a modern traditional store, whereas Pharmacity is a modern retailer. People can have a choice. They can come to the drive-through window of our stores and purchase a product directly from the pharmacist at the window and leave if that's what they choose to do, or they can park their bike in front of our store and come in, browse, do some shopping for medical devices, some other healthcare items, some beauty care items, some even FMCG in many stores. And they can also get service from a pharmacist at the same time. So this is also a differentiating point about our business.
I have a challenging question for you. So we've been talking about such exponential growth of Pharmacity. And congratulations, 1,100 stores, 11 years, fantastic. As you share, we should not be ignoring our competitors, right? So one of the big players in the market is Lomjiao. Lomjiao got bought out by FPT Retail in 2018. And in such a short period of time, right now they're just half of the number of stores compared to your business. But in 3 years, they break the record of being profitable. What's your thought about that?
I love this question. Thank you very much for asking this one. And it's not that challenging to answer, actually. Frankly speaking, we've been profitable before. We've been criticized for growth. But we're not a public company, so we don't have to report quarterly earnings. Investing for future growth today is what I see key. It's very important. It's the right thing to do. And it is the right thing to do for the consumer of Vietnam as well, for us to continue providing accessibility to people across Vietnam. Last year, we ended the fiscal year with 500 stores. In the past 6 months, we've opened 500 stores more.
Wow.
So if every store takes 3 to 6 months, in some cases 8 months, to ramp to profitability, and we've just doubled our store base, of course we're not profitable right now. But it's the right thing to do, because as soon as those stores begin generating profit, the business will be looking very different, and the naysayers will have different things to talk about.
So you said the first, before COVID, and also when you had 500 stores, in the last 6 months, you doubled the growth to 1,000 stores.
Yeah.
Why? What drove that growth?
Well, that's a also interesting question. And to answer it, we've got to go backwards in time a little bit. December 2019, January 2020, when COVID first began to really accelerate. Again, it was a very challenging time for people and very challenging time for us as well. I remember at Pharmacity we have our own brand products. Today we actually have over 350 Pharmacity brand products or exclusive products in our stores. But one of those products that we manufactured was the face mask. Coming back to December 2019, January 2020, just right after Tet, the Lunar New Year, the first wave of fear began to move through consumers in Vietnam. And we had lineups outside of our 250 stores at the time, 500 meters long. And that was a wake-up call for me. If we've got lines that long outside of the store, it means that we don't have enough stores. And so we got to work in expanding those stores. And coming back to the question about profitability, again, I'm not a public company, so I can do what's right for the consumer without really having to worry so much about the feedback of public market investors at the moment. So given the challenges and everything, we even had pharmacists sleeping in the store. But Pharmacity was still able to expand, and we grew 4 times our store count during that period, during that challenging period.
That's great. Okay, Pharmacity, and I say nhà thuốc tiện lợi, which is convenient, right?
Yeah, convenient pharmacy.
Convenient pharmacy. What does that mean? Everybody has different interpretation. What does that mean to you, and what do you want people to know?
Well, that's our value proposition at Pharmacity. What we strive to offer the consumers, families in Vietnam, is convenience. We have segmented our value proposition down into 3 CAs. So the first is convenience, about accessibility. Today, we have over 1,100 stores in 38 out of 63 provinces in Vietnam. And I aim that by the end of next year, we should have stores in all 63 provinces in Vietnam. And by the time that we achieve our 5,000 store count, I've forecasted that 50% of the population of Vietnam will live within a 10-minute drive of a Pharmacity store.
That's truly convenient.
That's very, very convenient, thank you. However, moving past that, I would like to see the majority of the population living within a 10-minute drive at some point as well. On top of that, we operate the longest hours out of any pharmacy chain in the country. We're open from 6 a.m. to 11:30 in most of our stores. And we've got a few handful of stores which are also operating 24 hours, so 24/7. We're also open on public holidays. Why are we operating some of those stores 24 hours? That is because one of the things that we learned during COVID about accessibility for the consumers, it's important to really have two channels. We've got our brick and mortar channel with the retail store, but we've also got online presence as well. And we recognize that it's important for us to have 24-hour stores as well, because we are delivering the product that consumers buy online directly from the store. So at the moment, in key cities where we operate those 24-hour pharmacies, we can actually deliver the items that customers buy online within an hour. And the ultimate goal is to be within 30 minutes at some point in the near future. And for other areas where we're not operating those 24/7 pharmacies yet, or where we might not have a Pharmacity, the goal is to have next day delivery for those items. So accessibility is key. It's a key value proposition, Pharmacity, to our consumers. And then one more key thing is that today, Pharmacity is the largest employer of pharmacists in the country. We've got over 5,000 pharmacists working for us, which are directly serving their community. So we provide accessibility to those pharmacists. At the stage when we have 5,000 stores, we'll be employing 35,000 pharmacists, and this is our offer for accessibility, providing access to the store, providing access to the pharmacist, providing access online or offline, wherever you choose. Moving on, we've got the we've got the convenience of availability. We at Pharmacity aim to ensure that our customers can buy the product they want, where they want, when they want. Also, in regards to availability, as I mentioned before, we also have that front of house shopping experience where we provide access to many more items that our competing pharmacies don't sell. And then we also have over 8,000 different products that the customers can choose from. So we've got convenience and accessibility, convenience and availability. And then finally, that third pillar is affordability. And I believe this is critically important because as we expand our network across all 63 provinces in Vietnam, from the south to the north to the south, we are going to run up against some areas where the population might not have the same sort of disposable income as Ho Chi Minh City or as in Hanoi. That's important to ensure that we're affordable. That being said, Pharmacity, we have a price match guarantee across all of our provinces, across all of our stores, across all of our products. Our customers can come into a Pharmacity store, and if they have an issue with the price, and they tell us that that product is a few $100 dong cheaper or a few $1,000 dong cheaper at a competitor at another pharmacy nearby, we will price match. We'll price match those things to ensure that we're affordable. One of the challenges that we've faced is that because our stores are very bright, they're beautiful, they're clean, they look different, they're modern, right? And it's intimidating for a lot of people to try us for the first time. However, because we have those price surveys that we're doing, we have these price matching programs. The word of mouth from the consumer is getting around. Actually, because of our whole value proposition that we're discussing, we can see that 75% of the Vietnamese population is aware of Pharmacity. And this is higher than any retail pharmacy chain in the country. And of the repeat users at Pharmacity, research shows that shoppers are repeating their purchases at Pharmacity double any of our competitors. So when we talk about the logo Pharmacity and then the words nhà thuốc tiện lợi beneath that, what that nhà thuốc tiện lợi really means is our value proposition to the customer.
It's a fantastic value proposition for the customer. I love it. It's the 3 CAs, that's what you call it,
Yeah.
accessibility, availability, and affordability, which speaks to the growing middle class in Vietnam. 75% of the people here are aware of the brand, and these sort of experiences is fantastic.
Do you know where I get this idea? I borrow this idea from a Vietnamese proverb or a Vietnamese saying, ngon bộ rễ. So what does ngon bộ rễ mean? Ngon is delicious, bộ is nutritious, rễ is cheap. Ngon bộ rễ. And many people, many entrepreneurs believe that you cannot get ngon bộ rễ. You cannot get something which is delicious, nutritious, and cheap. You always have to sacrifice on one or the other. But I believe that it's very important for us as a business to really bring to the consumer good balance of service, which is ngon bộ rễ. And that's why we have our 3 pillars of convenience inside of our value proposition to the customer.
You speak perfect Vietnamese. And throughout this conversation, you talked a lot about the aspect of how Vietnam is a country which is exciting, Vietnamese culture that's inspired you. Do you consider yourself a Vietnamese? How do you feel about building this business here in Vietnam throughout your entrepreneurial journey?
First and foremost, I love Vietnam very much. Vietnam is my home. I'm a permanent resident, and come July this year, I expect to be granted Vietnamese citizenship.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's harder than any other country to accomplish this milestone.
After all this time living in Vietnam, it's something that I feel very proud about. And I think that my personality, my way of being as an entrepreneur is something that I can give back to Vietnam. When I started this company, I really did this with the best intention. I saw the gap in the market. I saw the opportunity. I was young. I was 27 years old. I had the energy. I had the confidence to really do this. And I knew no matter challenges or no matter what hardship came up, this is something that I needed to do and that I wanted to do to give back to this country which I call home.
Well, that's fantastic.
Being an entrepreneur is also something very important to me, and I believe that Vietnam also helped me to create this identity for myself. I'm very passionate about growing this business. I'm very passionate about looking for the opportunities. I'm very passionate about the challenges that we face every day. I'm very passionate about going and meeting the people in my business. I'm very passionate about going and meeting the consumers, the families, the people that walk into the door of Pharmacity every day. It's who I am, and I thank this country, my country, your country, very much for the opportunities that it's given us.
I'm very glad to hear, well, you are home.
I believe, truly believe, that in Vietnam, if you can dream it, and you've got the commitment, the courage, anything can come true here. You can make anything happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go Vietnam.
Go Vietnam. What advice would you give to the young entrepreneurs that are trying to get into this space?
Come and be an entrepreneur at Pharmacity.
Well said.
Yes. Join us or build an interesting business and incorporate it into the healthcare ecosystem through the Pharmacity super app. I can't do everything by myself. My team, we won't be able to do everything by ourselves. We won't be able to innovate everything by ourselves. But if anybody's interested in the space, in innovating in healthcare technology, come and talk to us. And let's see if we can partner up, or perhaps let's look at M&A. But don't forget Pharmacity, because we've got that very big loyalty base of consumers, and that's going to continue to grow. We would like to help any young entrepreneur in this space gain access to that if they're interested in collaboration or partnership.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for joining me on Forbes CEO Talks. It's great to have you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.